Hey, Shalom Markins of Karma Kapash from GMS London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chachadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, pushing this truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video, and I'm going to entitle this one, AI is leading the world into slavery. All right? So, all this technology you got around us today that Esau has brought into this world, man, there's nothing but a tool for him to use, right, to establish his, new world agendas, okay, which he plans to have everybody in complete servitude underneath him, okay, with his mark of the beast, his MOTB, right, which is in the form of these RFID microchips that he's gonna have people have implanted into their bodies, into their hands, into their heads. All right, and this AI is like the manager, right? The AI is going to manage this world, right, while the elites live fat of everything that they've stolen from the earth, from the people. All right, so right now AI is being lauded as this great technology that's going to change the world, right? And all these connotations are made to sound, like these are good connotations, that the AI is going to change the world for the better, right? But what's really happening? What are you really seeing? Right? AI is forcing destruction and slavery upon the people, right? And immediately, the first thing that we notice is that, people's jobs are disappearing, right? So it's getting people, getting people made redundant, right? And so these people cannot, adequately support themselves and their families, right? So these stores are closing down, vacancies are being, job positions are being removed. All right. And so that's has an immediate impact, right? You're basically saying, your people are not required anymore, right? We've got AI can do, all this work, right? So that's the first thing that we see. It's the first real implementation of AI in this system is that your people will be made redundant, right? Which puts you or forces you to become dependent, right? And so this is why they're pushing all this digital ID, right, and this digital currencies and that, because you're going to be dependent on these other things that that they're gonna put to you, right? Because this whole AI thing is to make you become more dependent on the system, okay, which they're creating, right? Which is going to lead to the mark of the beast, right? For you to have access to all these, I say all these things, but like to let you have access to these these currencies, right? To buy and to sell, okay. And so we're going to get into these scriptures, but that's where AI's what AI is doing. It's not here to save the world and figure out global climate change and all this bullshit. No, it's here to bring people down to their knees, right, so that they can accept the MOTB and put themselves into slavery. And that's what it's doing, right? So without further ado, man, let's just get into it. I'm going to start here in Daniel chapter 12 and verse 4, where it says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased," right? Knowledge is being increased in these last days at a rapid breakneck speed, right? At a rapid pace, right? All these new inventions that are coming around, all this advancing technology is coming, relatively recently in the scale of history. All right. So knowledge is being increased at a fast pace, right? And Esau is at the forefront of it, pushing these boundaries, right? Because this is the lot he's been given, right? Because he's also here to race to his ultimate end. All right. It's good to say he have but a short time. All right, the devil coming from great wrath, because you have but a short time. So innovation has been moving crazy fast, and now we're at this point now where Esau's digitizing everything. He's got artificial intelligence, bots, and implantable devices. He's got all these different types of things, right? And which he wants to use in his new world order. All right. Ezekiel 28 verse 2 So, son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, okay, which represents Esau, beginning with America, right? Thus said Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, right? So these elites, they've become proud. These owners of Esau's kingdom, right? They've become proud, right? Because they have the power, and have all this power and this wealth, right? So because thy heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thy heart as the heart of God. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee, right? So like I said, the Most High is giving them this knowledge, right? This left-hand knowledge, right? He's provided it to them, okay, allowed them to prosper with it, right? So they can bring about, or try and bring about, this new order that they want to establish. Okay, ultimately only to, destroy themselves, in the process. Right, so with thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, right? They become really super rich, right? These trillionaires, right? These elite banking families, they have wealth beyond comprehension, right? So thou hast gotten thee riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, a business, right, hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, thus saith Lord God Yahweh, because thou hast set thy heart as the heart of God, right? Because they want to control, the Most High's creation. Okay, they want to shape the world as they deem fit. They want to sit at the top. A small percentage of individuals, these Edomites, right? They want to sit at the top where everybody else, has nothing and struggles. Right? They want to control all things, right? Just like the Most High has ultimate control over all things, right? So they want to put themselves in the position of being God, right? If I want to say, I'm not going to get into that right now, but basically, they're going to be destroyed in this process, right? Trying to be God. It's Daniel chapter 8, verse 25, right? And Esau of today comes in the same spirit, right? It says, and through his policy, also he should cause craft to prosper in his hand, right? And so again, in this modern era, Esau is doing the same thing, right? His craft is prospering him, okay, all this technology, right? And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. That's lucky. I jumped up to 24 for some reason, right? Verse 25 says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. Okay, again, become proud, right? And there's none more than, none more proud than these devils, in America, man. But they're super proud, right? So, and by peace shall destroy many, right? So we're being sold that this AI is some revolutionary technology that's going to change the world for the better, right? All the things it could solve, and all the improvements in life, it can do, right? But realistically, you ain't gonna get any of that. This is not what the tool is for. All these people are using AI for is to shortcut their work and produce images and shit right now. Esau is using AI for a whole different thing, a whole different reason, and it operates on a whole different level to what the consumer experiences with AI. Right, Esau is going to get a foothold like never before with his AI, combined with other technologies that he's got at his disposal. Right, and really put you people into subjection. Right, with an AI overlord that's going to know and manage everything. Right, and then we always point to the system, kind of what going on in China with that whole social credit system, man. But it really watches over the population, man. Right, watching their every move. Right, and we see brothers be posting up these short videos, these AI generated videos, right, of the future. People make all different things with these AIs now, right? And it's almost true to life, or true to what the future is gonna be under this system. Okay, where you're being tracked and monitored and managed, all day by these AIs, and they, and the system is gonna dictate what you have access to. Because that's where they're pushing with it. All right. So again, as by peace shall destroy many. This is going to end up, or be these people's destruction. All right. So buy peace and shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Right. So they're going to come into well, they're going to come to encounter the Lord again, man. Right, because Yahushua is going to turn up at the end of this place and destroy him and his kingdom. All right, but yeah, this is how this is where things are moving towards. All right. In Psalm 64, verse 2, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrections of the workers of iniquity. Right? These elite are plotting and scheming on the people. The rich abhor the poor. Right? So everything that they do isn't for, the benefit of mankind, and because the majority of people are poor on this planet. The elite are like less than 1%, less than 0.1%. Right? Everybody else is struggling because of the way this devil manages the earth. Right? So they're plotting on the downfall of man, and for them to basically benefit and to benefit and to rule over the people, right? So who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily, of traps. And this technology, and the AI is nothing but a trap that they're setting up for the people to fall into. Yeah, AI can be handy, but in the hands of the wicked, it ain't gonna be handy. it ain't gonna be used for good. It ain't gonna be for your good. Right? These guys will absolutely use it to oppress you. Absolutely. All right. So they search out iniquities, right? So that's what's on their mind. How can we use this against the people to strengthen our position? That's what they're about, right? They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. All right. Okay. So like I mentioned, since the AI has been out, one of the more noticeable things that it's accomplished is a negative thing, right? People losing their jobs, companies shutting down, right? Because the power is being really brought into these mega corporations, right? They've got money that can invest in this AI system, man. Because they all these big corporations seem to be investing in it. Like the Metas and the Amazons and the Nvidias and all these different things, like they'll investing heavily into AI technology. All right. But people that can't compete and can't keep up, they're getting shut down basically. And even amongst these successful companies, guess what? They're getting rid of a whole bunch of jobs that they don't need people for anymore. And so what do these people do in an economy where it's becoming shitter, right? Real jobs are not being made, right? So these people are forced then to struggle or struggle more, right? So that already has a negative impact in the world. Because did we really need AI? Not really. But it's always something that's being pushed by these CEOs of these companies, right? These tech gurus and shit, right? They're always pushing for all this extra shit because the elite are pushing them, and supporting them and funding them, right? It wasn't really necessary, but we're doing it anyway, regardless of the repercussions. Even though, like I said, it's going to negatively affect a whole bunch of people. But, they got answers for that. They got, solutions for that, which all involve you walking down this pathway to taking the MOTB, basically. We're going to have universal basic income because there's more and more people, that can't earn money or, wherever the case may be, right? Elon Musk talking about, high universal basic income or high universal income or whatever, right? But these are all going to be given by the government, okay? So it's going to be like almost based on whether you're eligible or not, and eventually whether or not you got the chip or not, whether you got the mark of the beast or not. So it's pushing people to be more dependent on the system, right? And relying on the government to support you because you can't support yourself anymore because AI is taking your job, and everybody else, and everything else just pays shit, and you can't keep up with the inflation. You know, so people are just getting grounded into the dirt. You're getting taxed more. You know, all these different things that are occurring right now, right, is leaving you with few options, limited options, right? But yeah, here in 2 Esdras chapter 6, verse 22, it says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall be suddenly found empty." All right, and that's not actually one I want to get first, actually. I think, where is it? This one, it's Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3. All right, so in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, right? Few workers. The grinders are the workers, right? There's fewer jobs and there's fewer workers, right? A lot of people are sick as well, can't work, got disabilities and different types of ailments, you know. So they're being, put in a poor situation, and they keep trying to reduce the benefits, right? Take people off benefits of disabilities and all these different types of things because they don't want to pay for you anymore. All right, and so they're putting extra stress on these people. I know obviously some of them abusing the system, right? But this puts pressure on everybody else that's legit. Because I've heard it, I've seen it, how they deal with these people, man, that got disabilities and that, man. Everyone's a fucking suspect, man, and they're always trying not to give you it. They're always trying to trying to get a reason or have a reason why you don't need it. Oh, you could work, bro. Like what, for an hour? Yeah, maybe anyone could work for an hour, but beyond that they're fucked. So they're really trying to do or say anything that they can to not give you these things anymore. All right, but in the end, the answer is going to be, oh, we're just going to put them all on this universal basic income, okay, which is all going to be digital currency. Okay, again, something else that they're pushing. All right, but again, in the day when the keepers of the house shall be tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, the grinders cease because they are few, and those look at the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets, okay, closures, when the sound of the grinding is low, right? Because you ain't gonna, there's less need for brick and mortar places, right? That's why you see all the banks be closing up, right? More and more banks just close up because there's no need for the bricks and mortar stores. It's still online, right? And that's where a lot of stuff is gonna have to be, right? A lot of these places are gonna close up. More jobs gonna be lost. Yeah, the robots are taking over, And again, because of the result of all of this and everything else going on in the rest of the world, right? Okay, these nations, these countries are going to find themselves in bad situations, right? Famine, and the affordability of things playing its role. Where is it? All right, 2 Esdras chapter 6, verse 22. "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown." Right? All these economic woes that we're currently facing, on the edge of war all the damn fucking time. All these issues that we're facing, right? They're going to exacerbate, right? They're going to become worse, right? So again, suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, right? So you got no job, food's hard to get, food's hella expensive or just not there, right? And so you're going to be, put in a position of despair, really, because you've got no way of getting what you need. All right. But this is the purpose. It's to push you in this direction and to feel that way. In 2 Esdras chapter 16, "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case." Right? For now, people are losing out, but people are still able, there are still a lot of people that can still afford things as much as it might, stretch their pockets, right? They can still afford things, but shit's about to get real out of control. Real out of control. Where a lot of people, the majority of people are not going to be able to afford things, right? See, behold, victory shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evil grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. And this is the world we're living in, right? A world of great confusion, where an economic collapse is just moments away, which will lead to the following: the sword and the famine, right? There's already wars and rumors of wars. There's already death going on. There's death in going on in America right now. All these fucking ICE agents and shit. There's all these things occurring. But like I said, things are only going to become worse. Evil shall grow. We just read that. Right? So, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. So great death is coming, off the back of all of this. All right? And this is the position that you're being forced into. All right? And here's an example of something similar. Okay, back in the time of Egypt, right? During the 7 years of famine. All right. So reading from Genesis 47 verse 18 says, when that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also have a herd of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Right. So things are going to become so hard and so difficult, so perilous, right? And you haven't got anything, right? You got no means to make money because you can't get a job. There's no jobs, whatever it is. If you got a job, it's not enough because things are just crazy priced, right? You can't survive any longer, right? There is nothing else, right? That's when the government is going to come and tell you, look, we got this. Okay, we got this universal basic income, and you may be on this already, prior to the time I'm talking about, before you start taking the chip, right? But the access to that benefit, right, is going to become limited to if you have it or not, right? But like I said, you probably ain't going to have anything, so for a lot of you, it's going to be like a no brainer, right, to keep whatever little that you have that that you can get by on, right? But this is what you're giving yourself up. Okay, you're allowing ownership, physical ownership and digital ownership of you by the government, by these elites, right? So it says, there is no aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants under Pharaoh, right? You're going to make yourselves servants, perpetual slaves in this modern case, right, to the elites of now. That's what you're going to do because you haven't got nothing else, right? I mean, and you don't want to die. You don't want to starve. Okay, you want to be safe, right? And so you're going to ask. A lot of you going to be, just like you, man, you was taking the juicy juice. A lot of you are running to get it because you felt threatened. You felt in danger, right? So a lot of you are going to run to Esau to get it done. Others are going to be, a bit more stubborn about it, but eventually they're going to break too, right? And then you're going to have them in the Lord, right, who are going to vehemently resist, right? And a few anti-government men that are going to resist, right? But a lot of you are going to run to get it, all right, because you don't want to die, right? It says, buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, and the land be not desolate. And Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them, right? So this time of trouble that's coming upon the earth is going to prevail over the people, right? Which is going to allow Esau to move in and get people this MOTB. That's the purpose, right? This AI is destroying your ability to live, right? And like I said, Esau's going to put it over you to manage you, you know? So that's what, like I said, it's what the people was being forced to do, right? Being put in this position. It's 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, right? For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right? And that's the time that's facing us right now. Okay, what we're leading into. Right? A time of trouble such as never has existed before, pursuing the Daniel 12:1, right? And so all these situations that Esau is creating is gonna, bring you to this point. Okay, taking that mark. Right? So here it is in Revelation chapter 13, right? And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, right? So there's conditions to buying and selling. There's going to be conditions of using, payment, right? And like I said, these nations, they be working on digital currencies, CBDCs, right? Which is programmable money. And so there's conditions attached to them. Right? Because they want to monitor and trace and track everything that goes on in the kingdom. And so they move into this digital system. Okay, hence digital IDs, right? They want everything linked up. Right? They want everything linked up. They want your biometrics, right? They want your face, they want they want your facial recognitions, they want your fingerprints and all kinds of things, and they want to put it all in a digital database, right? With all the rest of your information that's on you, right? So when you get scanned, guess what? It's all going to be there, and it's going to verify you. It's going to confirm who you are, right? Every time you want to access the internet, guess what? You have to scan your chip, or scan something, right, to be able to access it if you're allowed access, because maybe you've been banned. You know what I'm saying? Maybe your social credit score isn't good enough for you to access the internet, right? Or maybe you can only use it for like an hour, or whatever the stipulations are, because they can control all of that. They can control all of that. All of the digital system, they can control all of that. All right? And this is the position that these elites want to be in. They want control, total control over what you do or don't do. Okay? They want to play God, right? And so the only way you're gonna have access to being able to buy or sell anything is if you have his mark, which is what it goes on to say, right? And he calls you all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, right? So that's the condition. You're gonna have to have this to be able to do these things, right? But like I said, you ain't gonna be left with very much, so you're not gonna have many options, or feel like you have many options, right? Because everything is just out of your control. It's so crazy and chaotic. You're looking anywhere for succor, for peace, for comfort, and that's why through peace he's gonna destroy many, right? Because taking this mark is gonna, it's gonna land you in big trouble with the Most High, right? But let me just let me open up the blue letter, same chapter and verse, right? But I wanted to go into these words quickly, as we do, right? So first off, the word mark is charagma, right? And it says a stamp, an imprinted mark, or the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist, right? Those that have no faith, basically. They don't believe in the salvation of Yahweh Shai, right? But believe in Esau, right? In his kingdom. Pardon me. The mark branded upon horses, thing carved, right? Cut into, right? Sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images. Pardon me. Right? Again, a scratch or etching, i.e. stamp as a badge of servitude, right? You're becoming slaves of the elites, right? And that's what this AI is here to, get you to be, right? It's gonna manage you, right? Because elites ain't gonna sit there and manage you, right? That's what the AI is made for, right? To manage things, right? And so, what I'm saying, AI is doing such a good job in creating this predicament, or some of these predicaments, right? Of dependency, right? Because you're gonna be dependent. You'll be made dependent on the system, right? And so you're gonna be trying to hear, whatever it is that you got to do to survive in that time. All right, but what you're doing is handing yourself over, just like we just read it back in Egypt. The man handed themselves over to Pharaoh and became servants unto him. Right, and these servants have a brand, have a mark, right, or in this case, have a chip inside of them to acknowledge that they have an owner, right? Which is what I want to get next. But actually, before that, quickly, let me just go back here and tap this. Right, the word karux, which is the root word of karagma, so a pale or stake or a palisade or rampart, right, which is dug into the ground, right, pierces the earth. Okay, this is gonna pierce your skin. Pales between which earth, stones, trees, and timber are heaped and packed together, right? And the other root word to this is grapho, to write with reference to the form of letters, right? This thing holds information, data, right? That's what these chips have. They contain data, right? To delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment, paper, or other material, to write with reference to the contents of writing, to express in written characters, to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, write down, record, right? The chip is going to be a record of you and everything that you're to do with you, right? Your permissions, your accessibility things, right? It's going to have it all, right? The use of those things which stand written in the sacred books of the Old Testament, to write to one, i.e. by writing in a written epistle, to give information and directions, to fill with writing, to draw up in writing, compose. All right, so this chip is going to contain data, right? But what I really want to get to now is verse 18 here in regards to the number, right? The 666. And the last 6 of this is stigma, right? If you go into its root word here, right, it tells you this, right? It means to stick or to prick, right? Penetrate, to pierce, right? A mark pricked in or branded upon the body, right? So we already know that it's going to be in your right hand or in your forehead, right? So to ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to, right? And so this is the battle that's taking place now. The two sides that's being determined. Those that believe in Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, right, who are marked with a spiritual mark, and those that are in line with Esau, Satan, Esau, Edom, right, and branded with his mark, right? Who do you belong to? Okay, you're professing yourselves to belong to Esau, to the elites of Esau, and that you're their property. Okay, you don't belong to the Heavenly Father and His Son. Okay, you belong to them, and so you're gonna perish. You're gonna perish with the wicked, because you sided with the wicked. Those that have sided with Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, they're gonna be delivered. All right, so that's the two sides, and that's the decisive moment. Okay, whether or not you're gonna take this mark or not, right? Because all hope is lost, right? But when all hope is lost, who do you turn to? We're gonna see who really believe in the Heavenly Father and who don't. All right. So those that don't believe are going to take Esau's mark because it's there. It's carnal, right? They can see it, and so they believe in it. They're not gonna. A lot of these people are not gonna put their faith in a power they've never seen. Right? They're gonna put trust in the carnal. Right? But like I said, that's all gonna backfire. All right. It's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. Because like the scripture say, those that shall seek to save their life shall lose it. Right? Because you think there's going to be peace and safety in believing in Esau, believing in his mark and his words, right? But it's going to bring nothing but destruction. Right? So for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Right? There is no peace and safety with Esau, because he's in the firing in the crosshairs, in the firing line of the Most High, to bring judgment upon him. And scripture say, though hand join in hand, both are going to be destroyed, man. Basically, right? Both all of them are going to go down with him, right? Because this is the judgment the Lord is going to bring upon them, right? Revelation 14:9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, right? So you believe in the system. This is his image. This is the image that you people believe in, right? If you worship the system, you believe in it. You want to hold it. You want it to continue. You want Esau to continue ruling, right? As mad as it's going to get, you still want him to be your master. Because you feel like he knows best, because he's the fucking smartest one, right? It's bullshit, right? But you're going to put your faith and trust in him and not in the Most High. And so you're going to allow yourself to take his mark, right? So if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, right? The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, right? You chose wrong. Basically, you chose wrong, and you're going to be punished for it. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up for ever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. All right? So that's the outcome. Right? That's the outcome of siding with Satan. Right? But like I said, the Esau is using these tools, including the AI, to bring you to this point, right? To put you out of job, to make you more dependent on the system. And then the AI is going to be there to manage you all, okay, when you take that mark, right? And submit yourself to the new system. The AI is going to be there, watching over you all day, every day, listening to you all day, every day, watching what you do online, watching, just constant, man. Deciding things for you based on its programming, what level of citizen you are, right? What you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. Can you go here? Can you go there? Can you buy this? Can you buy that? Have you ever posted anything negative about government or whatever the case? Whatever it is, they can, do things to limit you and restrict your movement. You ought to be under an oppressive state, oppressive nation that's going to decide everything for you. So like I said, this is like, AIs are bringing you into slavery, man. You people think it's something great that's going to benefit the world, but it's causing a whole lot of fucking energy pollution to power these data centers and whatever. What good is it really doing? Oh, we got talking robots now. Who gives a fuck? Got people. A lot more so already made talking robots. But like, oh no, the robots are better. Yeah, but what about the people? What are they supposed to do? To hell with them. We gotta make more money. We gotta make more profit. That's what I mean. This new system isn't for people. It ain't for average Joe, right? It's for the elites, and there's like a gap between them and the rest of the population, man. And they got robots and AI over you. They've always distanced themselves, and they're going to continue to do that. And that's why you watch it see it in these movies like Elysium. It's like, yeah, these elites living it up, getting the best of everything, but the hierarchy is them, the robots, the AI, blah blah blah, and then you, right, working for the robots. You know, the robots are manage, set up as managers over you, and you're just gonna do like whatever menial task Esau wants you to do. You know, but you ain't gonna be living. No, you're gonna be in servitude. All right. But yeah, I'm gonna end it there anyway. Lord, this has been edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.